and welcome to another edition of Late Night Dental Marketing with your host Paul. It is now 3:30 a.m. and I want to talk to you tonight about something that I occasionally get a question for, which a lot of dentists are interested in, is how to get back patients that haven't been in the office for over 2 years. And there's two components to that: actually getting them back, and one, finding them in your scheduling software. Now, I've talked to a lot of scheduling software companies, and that's one of the biggest questions they get, is how to get those patients out, how to generate a list of them. So we're going to be talking about that tonight, okay? Okay, so first I'll deal with the software problem. Long ago in my engineering days, in a galaxy far, far away, I worked a lot with databases. I worked a lot with software. I was in electrical engineering, and that's a lot of the things we used to do, especially during work terms when I was working for Nortel and Bell Mobility. I used to have to be working with databases and Excel spreadsheets and all sorts of software of that kind. Dental software, scheduling software, is no different. It's a front end, and the back end's a database. Now, the problem is a lot of software companies know, and they use this in their business model. They know that for you to want to get that out, that's a special customized thing for you, and then they'll charge you for that, and usually it's ridiculous. It only takes them, from what I know, it's called a SQL statement. From what I know, it only takes about 10 seconds for them to generate the information from the database. However, they might charge you a whole day's worth of labor, of maybe $1,400. Actually, that's part of the reason why I'm talking about this, because I wanted something like that from a particular scheduling software that I've worked with one of my clients, and unfortunately they cut down all avenues in the software, including the database, in order to get access to the software. And that pissed me off, because they're basically holding you hostage, and a lot of software companies do this. They hold your patient information hostage against you. So you had to pay them money in order for them to release the data of your patients. So we couldn't get our inactive patients, we couldn't get nothing. Now that's a nightmare. Think about it. It's your patients, and the software company is saying, oh, if you want your patients, you gotta cough up some dough. That's extortion in some circles. So to me, that's irritating. So what I do is I go in the back door. I look for ways that I can get that information without having to do a request for a quote. And it takes them a month to do something that I can do in a minute. So when I talk to them, some of them are helpful, and some of them do allow you to get access to that, and that's great. We have a good time with those kinds of scheduling softwares. But most scheduling software isn't designed to be marketing enabled. So it's very user unfriendly for marketing purposes. And so getting 2 years old patients, the patients haven't been in 2 years, is going to be very difficult for you. And usually what I found is that it's called a last in field or something like that in the database, last checkup, and that's the field that usually it gets populated with the date that they were last in, and then I can filter for 2 years. But getting that information out of the database is another thing. So sometimes I look at reports, and then I can develop what's called a parser and get the information from there, or I go through the back end of the database and pull the information from that source. So in that case of that company, they wanted to charge us $1,400 for what I knew was only 10 minutes worth of work, and so there's no way we're going to pay that. And other companies, have the same philosophy. It's built into their business model. But the problem is, you want to have a scheduling software that allows you to be able the flexibility to market to your patients whenever you want and how you want it. Okay, if you only want to select people between the ages of 30 and 60, you should be able to do that, and very easily too. Okay, so let's talk about the other half of that, which is how to get your patients back in. Okay, so you got the So say you hire me and then I get the information out of your database. Now you got to get those people back. Okay, that's a different story, because why are they not coming in every 2 years? Some people have moved, some people have died, some people have, just they're pissed off at you. Your office did something to them. They fear the dentist. A lot of them don't come in because they're really scared. And actually, that's quite often. Actually, I see that quite often. People are absolutely terrified. They need sedation. So you have all that running in the background. The other thing is people are just get lazy, and that's the majority of it. 62% of the people, actually, it's indifference that causes them to not go to the dentist. They're just sitting there. They're unmotivated. You have to be persuaded to do things in a busy society. You have to be things that are of importance to people have to be sort of promoted to people. So if they're constantly worrying about themselves and all their daily habits, they're going to forget about the dentist until they have a problem. Now, sitting there for 2 years, they're going to have problems.